going to be my first video in my series of Journey to Chemical Free videos, and this one is going to be on deodorant. That was personally the first product that I switched over to aluminum-free natural deodorants when I first started my journey. So I thought, why not make this the first video? Okay, so let's face it, nobody wants to be this smelly kid. It's not acceptable in today's society to smell, basically. So there should be no exception for people who want to take the natural route. You shouldn't have to sacrifice products that really work for healthy ingredients. So if you do want to take that natural route and haven't quite found something that works so well for you, stay tuned and I'll show you what I have tried out that didn't work so well, and then my holy grail deodorant product combination right now. First off, I'm just going to go through the bad ingredients that are found in most mainstream deodorants. The number one thing that you're going to want to stay away from when switching over to natural is aluminum. Aluminum is in basically all antiperspirants. That's what gives it the antiperspirant qualities. It makes you not sweat because it clogs your pores and builds up in your system. And the percentages are very, very high. This isn't just like, oh, there's a little bit of aluminum in there, no big deal. The percentages in normal deodorants range from like 10 to 25% aluminum. That's a lot. And there have been studies that have shown that breast cancer tissue does contain aluminum in it. So that is telling you that when we're putting it on our deodorant, it's getting stored basically in our breast tissue. And not only do the studies show that it's in the breast cancer tissue, but that it's mostly found on the outsides, like where you put on deodorant, as opposed to, you know, on the insides. You also have a lot of lymph nodes that are in your armpits, so it can cause lymphatic damage as well. In addition to that, it also can cause issues related to Alzheimer's disease. So you're definitely going to want to look for something that is absolutely aluminum free. The next thing that's in a lot of deodorants is propylene glycol, and that kind of gives it the quality of like a stick deodorant. Like it solidifies it and it keeps it from melting. But on the downside, it can cause rashes and irritation, and a lot of people are allergic to it. So that's also something that many people would want to stay away from. Another thing that's in a lot of deodorants is triclosan, and that is basically just an antibacterial, and obviously there's a lot of sweat and bacteria, a lot of bacteria in sweat, so that is put into a lot of deodorants to kill all the bacteria, but that is also another thing that builds up in our system, and it can also not only kill good bacteria in our bodies, but it can create bacteria that is resistant to antibiotics, which is just a whole nother thing, not good. Definitely want to stay away from that. And finally, a lot of deodorants do have parabens in them. Obviously, I think a lot of people already know. If you don't know though, parabens are just a toxic preservative that as well builds up in your system over time, and personally the number one thing that I choose to stay away from in all of my products. So now for some deodorants that I have used that didn't work out so well for me. When I actually moved to California, I obviously did not bring the basket of deodorants that I don't use anymore. I think that would be a little silly, but I did literally have a basket full. It did take me a while to find something that worked for me, so if you're trying out deodorants and they're not working out for you, don't worry, like you'll find one. Everyone's skin is different. Not everything works the same for everybody. We all have like different scents, I guess, and you know, everybody's just different. So I almost wish that I did have all of those to show you and go through what I have, the ones that I've tried out, but I don't, unfortunately. But I do have a couple here that I've tried since I've been living in California, before I found what finally worked for me, so I'm going to go through those. So the first one, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of these. They're the Crystal Rock deodorants, and basically they are in the form of a rock crystal. They're hard, and you just wet them, and then you can put them on like a normal deodorant. So my issue with this one is basically just that I felt like it didn't work. Like it didn't, you know, give me enough protection against sweat, and there was no scent to it, so it just didn't give me that like fresh feeling that I like to have. So that was personally my issue with it. I actually do know some people who like it and think that it works for them. The only other issue though is that the ingredient that makes up the rock salt, it is, in the ingredients it says natural mineral salt, and then in parentheses it says ammonium aluminum. So as you can see here, the sticker, it says no aluminum chlorohydrate, which is the form of aluminum that is usually in most deodorants. So it doesn't have that form of aluminum, but it does have ammonium aluminum in it, which is another form of aluminum. It does not, I don't think that there have been studies that have shown that it builds up in your system like the ammonium chlorohydrate does, but it is still a form of aluminum. So if you're like me, I just personally want to stay away from any forms of aluminum. So that one didn't really work out so well for me. And another deodorant that brand Crystal makes, they do make a roll-on deodorant, I believe, as well, which I have tried out in the past. I ended up returning it, so I don't have the actual physical thing to show you guys. But I returned it because it made me so itchy in my armpits. Like, my armpits were just on fire, so itchy, and like literally made them all red. So I will have to check for you guys what was in it and try and see what gave me that reaction. Maybe it was the propylene glycol. If that is in it, I don't know. I will have to research and I'll let you guys know in the description box below. But that was also another deodorant that I did use that didn't work out so well for me. The next one I got from Vitamin Shop, and it's by Kiss My Face. It is the Natural Active Life aluminum-free deodorant. It's a sport scent, I think. So basically it's no aluminum, no parabens, no artificial fragrance, no animal ingredients, no animal testing, and gluten-free. However, the first ingredient listed is propylene glycol, which was one of the ingredients that I mentioned earlier. It's not really the best ingredient around and is something that I look to stay away from. It is ranked relatively low on the Environmental Working Group's ratings. I think it receives a 3, which is a relatively low hazard, but it's definitely not a natural ingredient, and for it to be the first one, obviously there's a lot of that in here. The next one here I got from Vitamin Shop as well, and it is from the brand La Face. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm pretty sure that's probably how you say it. It says aluminum, gluten, and propylene glycol free. So this one definitely does not contain propylene glycol. It does smell really good. If I had to describe the scent, I would probably describe it as like it's almost like a boyish scent. Like it smells like a boy that just like got out of the shower or something, like a fresh boy. So I personally don't mind smelling like that. Like I don't have to have like a girly scent. I did like the scent of this, but it's like almost a gel, and it just like leaked all over the place and was like messy around the bottle, and it just got my hands all gross, and I just didn't like that about it. Besides the fact that I felt like the lasting power of it wasn't so great. Like it didn't last, I'd say, more than 2 or 3 hours, and it's not really convenient to have to reapply that often throughout the day, especially with something that you can't throw in your bag because it's kind of messy. So this was another one that didn't work out so well for me. Now this next one, I did actually use this for a really long time. I would say maybe around a year I used this, and this is the La Vanilla. It's called the Healthy Deodorant, and it's in the scent Pure Vanilla. This you can get at Sephora. The biggest downside for this one for me was that it cost $18 in Sephora, and there's just something about going to buy deodorant and costing $18. It's just like ridiculous, and every time I went to buy it I was like, this is ridiculous, I hate this, $18, I'm buying deodorant. It was just annoying. And I was kind of always looking for something else. The problem that I find though is almost that my body becomes, like, something will work for me for a while as far as deodorants I'm saying, and then my body will almost like get used to it and then it will stop working for me. So that's something that happened with this, and after about a year or so I noticed that it wasn't lasting as long. I would have to reapply more often, and I just kind of stopped liking it. I'll read what is on the back of it. It says no petrochemicals, no phthalates, no propylene glycol, mineral oils, silicone, synthetic dyes, sulfates, or parabens. So the ingredients are really good. The smell of it is really good. It's vanilla, this one. They do have, I think, like 3 or 4 other scents. So I do recommend it, but just know that it is on the very pricey side. So that is the La Vanilla. Finally, what I have been using now for about the past 6 months and has been working really, really well for me, and that is this Aubrey E+ High C Roll-On Deodorant. It's by the brand Aubrey, and the ingredients in here are really, really good. Like, there's nothing in here that I wouldn't want to put on my skin. No propylene glycol, no parabens, or anything that I just mentioned earlier, obviously. The only thing that I do wish that it had is baking soda. So what I do is I take my baking soda and I just basically sprinkle a little bit of baking soda on the roller ball before I roll it on. And baking soda, if you want to make your own deodorant, that's definitely an option to do like a homemade deodorant. I would 100% recommend putting baking soda in there, because not only does it have odor fighting properties, but it also, I find, completely dries my skin up, but in a good way, obviously, so that I do not sweat. So to me, I think that this is a really good natural antiperspirant-like ingredient. So I would definitely recommend, even just try any deodorant, any natural deodorant that isn't working out so well for you. Do what I did and just add a little bit of baking soda in there, and maybe it'll start working a lot better for you. So this on its own, it really does work well, but I just feel like it works extra well with the baking soda, and I don't have to reapply it all day. You know, it definitely lasts, I'd say, like 12 plus hours, which is really, really good for a natural deodorant. So this is kind of my, you know, holy grail deodorant combination right now. I can't say that the same thing won't happen with this as it did with the La Vanilla, where it just kind of stops working for me after a while. I mean, I'm really hoping that it doesn't, because this from Vitamin Shop is like, I don't know the exact price. I'll have to list it below, and I'll list a link as well below. But I think it's like between $5 and $6 or something like that. And then you get this whole entire thing of baking soda from the supermarket. This one's from Trader Joe's. I think this is literally like 89 or 99 cents. So that is definitely a plus. Now that I'm thinking about it, I did just recently come across a brand. It's called the Holistic Science. They are at my local farmer's market. They have all beauty ingredients, no chemicals at all, homemade. So I was there and they were telling me about their deodorant that they have. They said that they don't have to put on deodorant for 3 days when they use this, which is kind of crazy. And when I heard them say that, I was like, 3 days? Like, what do you mean, you know? But if this one ever stops working for me, I will probably try out that one from the Holistic Science. I haven't personally tried it out. I've heard very good things, but I will have to let you guys know and maybe add that into a later video in the future. So that is pretty much it. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and if you are not already using natural deodorant, I really highly suggest that you guys just ditch your regular deodorant and try out some new ones. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe, thumbs up the video, and comment below. Basically, the cosmetics industry specifically is an industry that is just very unregulated, and that came as a surprise to me. I know that I always thought if it's on the shelves for me to buy, obviously it must have gone through a significant amount of testing, that it could be on the shelves for consumers to buy, but that is not the case at all.